suppose the question I've got to ask you, Tommy, in the time of the death of Pete Seeger, what happens to the music when the musician dies?
Well, I think Pete is the sort of man and a musician that will live on, because his influences have been so powerful during his own lifetime that I think they carry on. No matter where I go in the world, and I've been to Gaza, I've been to the Middle East as well as various other places, you hear his songs been sung everywhere.
And these places you mentioned would not be foreign places to him. They've always been deep at his heart's core, because he was a campaigner as well as a musician.
Very much so. He's very much a man of the people, of all the people. And he wasn't into borders or isms, because his music crossed all those divides. In fact, he would have said that that is what music is for crossing those divides.
His grandson was with you in Rostraver a few years back.
I was speaking to Tao last night on the phone, and he was inconsolable.
Inconsolable.
Yeah. Tao is... well, he of course, he's a child, and he was playing with Pete from a very young age. And in fact, we travelled with Tao quite a bit, went over to India with him as well. Pete blazed the trail there for us, he set up gigs for us in India and all over the place.
He was an ordinary man to begin with.
An ordinary...
And remained that, I suppose.
Yes, extraordinary man. He went to Harvard. Well, his family, his mother was a classical musician. His father probably was the father of ethnomusicology, the study of music and its relationship with people. Pete went to Harvard in the same class as JFK, dropped out of Harvard, took off with Woody Guthrie. His Walking in the Desert was on freight trains with Woody Guthrie across America, meeting ordinary people, meeting people under pressure, poor people, workers who weren't allowed to form unions, and he became part of, I suppose, a left-wing movement. In fact, one of the very first songs, Rowan, and I wonder would you have this recollection, one of the very first songs that I heard coming out of a wet batteried wireless many, many years ago was a song sung by Pete Seeger and the Weavers. They were in the charts. On the top of Old Smoky, all covered in snow, I lost my true lover for courting too slow. That song, actually, I don't know whether you've got the memory of this, but it was banned. It was banned by the church.
It was,
wasn't it?
Yeah.
And
they probably would have been happy enough with you courting too slow.
Well, actually, the reason for it was not that I thought words like courting is risque enough.
Yes.
But it was because of his left-wing politics. He was blacklisted by McCarthy. He was brought in front of the House of Un-American Activities. And because of his left-wing activities, he would have been frowned upon by the church, and that leaked through to here. And I was telling Pete this many years later, and he laughed because, Protestants used to sing it to make us mad. Because they knew we weren't supposed to listen to this.
Yes.
And it was very funny. And of course, he was banned from television and radio for 10 years.
How did you first meet him? The boy from the Ryan Road in Mayo Bridge meets a classmate of JFK.
Yes.
What an extraordinary confluence.
Well, I had songs which were being sung in America, and there were Roses being one of them, and also a song called Daughters and Sons, and they were getting very good write-ups in, sung not by me but by people like Mick Maloney and later Kathy Mattea and people like that. They were getting good write-ups in Sing Out magazine, and Pete had edited Sing Out magazine, and he wanted to meet me and I wanted to meet him, and I was on a trip around America with my wife Catherine, that you know, and Fiona Maya. They were babies.
Babies then,
Yes. And Pete invited us up, and he lived in a small log cabin in the high banks of the Hudson River, which he built himself with his wife Toshi.
And stayed there till he died?
Stayed there till he died. At that time he had no electricity or running water, and I could identify with that because I grew up in that situation. And the only running water we had was running to the well with it.
With a bucket?
With a bucket. Or as my mother used to say, take two, it'll balance you.
It'll balance you.
But I think, I was drawn to him because of his idealism, not only as a young man, but constant. And I suppose he saw me as a young idealist running around the place, and he gave me all these addresses of people all around America where he had called playing concerts many years before.
So he affectionately, he kind of adopted you.
In many ways he did, because we always used to stay up there with him in that log cabin, and himself and his wife.
But the currency there, you wouldn't have got staying there for nothing. The currency you paid was the currency of song.
Yes.
You would have had to sing.
Oh yes, and tell plenty of stories.
And you would have done with joy and
of course,
with aplomb.
And writing songs, because he loved. We were sitting having breakfast, maybe having toast. He said, "Have you any songs about toast?" You know, I don't. Well, let's make up one.
Well, yeah.
And his songs, as you know, "Where Have All the Flowers Gone?" "If I Had a Hammer." Turn, 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 that the Birds recorded.
So they're all there. Just all in the tips of our tongues.
Yes.
Yeah, they're there. That's indeed. Right. Personally, it's a great loss for you, because when a man loses that kind of great camaraderie, words and music of great human affection, go a long way to rebuild it and find it again anywhere else.
Well, I don't think there's anybody like Pete. You know, I suppose when he was blacklisted at that time, he couldn't play in concerts. He would run schools, so all the children of America knew him. And at that concert of his 90th birthday in Madison Square Garden, the place is 25,000 people there.
Yeah.
And people with tears in their eyes, remembering their growing up with him. You know, he was like a father figure. He's I suppose a father of American folk music. And ultimately, you know, if you look at the Clancy Brothers and Tommy Makem, they were very inspired by the Weavers, that group of Pete Seegers. And they inspired people all over the place.
I think we might have a piece of you and Pete Seeger playing in Madison Square Garden. Sean, do we have that? Yeah, I think we can do that now, Tommy, shall we?
Great.
Let's have that now.
Change. You know, he's a beacon. I will never lead that life. I can only aspire to some of the parts of it. For artists that are interested in social justice or social change, you know, he's a beacon. I will never lead that life. I can only aspire to some of the parts of it. And I'm not sure if anyone will again. He's just a unique figure. There's not going to be another Pete Seeger.
Long live Pete Seeger. And long live Toshi. I wonder, do you remember this song? Little boxes on the hillside, little boxes made of ticky-tacky, little boxes, all the same. And there's a green one,
and a pink one,
and a blue one,
and a yellow one, and they're all
made out of ticky-tacky, and they all look just the same.
And the people in the houses all went to the university, and they all were put in boxes, and they all came out the same.
And there's doctors,
And there's lawyers,
and there's business executives, and they're all made out of ticky-tacky, and they all look just the same. And they all play on the golf course and drink their martinis dry.
and they all have pretty children, and the children go to school.
And the children go to summer camp,
And then to the university, where they all get put in boxes,
and they all come out the same.
And the boys go into business and
Marry and raise a family, and boxes, little boxes, little boxes, all the same. And there's a green one,
and a pink one,
and a red one, and a yellow one, and they're all made out of ticky-tacky, and they all look just the same. And they're all made out of ticky-tacky.
'90th birthday of Pete Seeger there. What a night in Madison Square Gardens.
It
They
was-
were all there.
They were all there, Ron. It was amazing. You know, before we went out onto stage, I was in the dressing room, and there's a man called Tim Robbins was the MC. Tim's an actor. He was in the Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, yes.
But he was also the son of Gil Robbins, who played in a group called the Limelighters in Greenwich Village back in the 60s. But anyway, Tim had this list with him. I had no idea when we were on, you know. I says, Tim, when are we on? You know. He says, I guess you're on just after Chris Christopherson and before Bruce Springsteen. No pressure.
Whoa!
And
No pressure.
There wasn't any pressure because everyone left their egos at the door like
Yeah.
overcoats on a warm summer's evening, because Pete had already lit the Pascal candle, the Tara flame.
Yes.
And who could be kind of playing the star stuff when you have this most humble man being the greatest star of them all?
And at the end of it all, you know, he recognized in his embrace on the stage the Irish connection.
Yes. His great-grandmother came from Ireland, and he was very proud of that. He would have said that modern American music would have been, it would have arisen from Irish and Scottish melodies and from African rhythms. And that coming together, and he was always merging people. He wrote a great song There were no red-headed Irishmen till the Vikings landed in Ireland. How many Romans had dark curly hair before they brought slaves from Africa? No race of man is completely pure, nor is anyone's mind, and that's for sure. The wind makes the dust of every land, and soul, woman, and man. And showing the common elements rather than differences, which politics tend to show.
Yeah, and he held on to that commonality, even though he was born in a sense to musical greatness, with the provenance of father and mother, but that never robbed him of the potential, the propensity to act on behalf of the common cause.
Very much. He said that if he wasn't a musician, he would have been a journalist, traveling around, bringing people's stories to the forefront. And in fact, I suppose that's what a troubadour does in many ways.
Yes, indeed.
Gathering up stories and songs, making them into songs.
You names like Joan Baez, Bruce Springsteen, they're not foreign to you, Tommy. And one or two of them have found their way to Ross River.
Yes, Joan came down to Ross River to record in an album that I did with Vedran Smilovic.
Oh, yes.
And Joan had gone to see Vedran in Sarajevo, and they were great friends, and Joan came and we recorded it together in Ross River. And then actually afterwards, Joan had her mother with her, who's also called Joan Baez.
Wow.
And after we did the recording, Joan says, I'm going for a run up in the oak forest.
Yes.
And I says, I'll go with you. She says, but I mean I'm going for a run, not a fast walk. So I went with her a bit anyway, but she took off at a high rate of knots, and I met up with her later. But in the meantime, her mother, who's also called Joan Baez, is a woman of towards 80, she says, I'm not going to run today. She says, I'm going to lie down here in this couch and have a snooze. And she lay down on the couch in our house, and my son Finan came home from school, and there's nobody in the house except this elderly lady he'd never seen before in his life.
Yes. Yeah.
And she opened one eye and says, hi kid, I'm Joan Baez. And he'd heard of Joan Baez, he'd never seen her, and he'd heard her voice. He didn't know what he said. He says, well, you've got a beautiful voice for your age. And she laughed. She
That's
says,
it, you did. Yeah.
I don't have a voice, kid, but God give me an angel for a daughter, and she's running in those hills with your father.
You did. That's a lovely way to put it. God give me an angel for a daughter. You know.
Yes.
We all grew up with the Joan Baez
music.
Right.
That's right.
All my trials, Lord, soon be over.
Yes.
All that, and it's just so beautiful. Pete Seeger gone. What age was he when he went?
94.
94. He got 4 years after the Madison Square Garden bit.
That's right.
94 years of age, and he's gone now. Was he the man himself? Well, we know the musical man, and it's probably not divorced from the spiritual man. What nature did his spirituality take?
He's a very spiritual man. I remember asking him one time, what religion are you, Pete? And he said,
Well, you knew in asking that of Pete Seeger, you wouldn't have got an answer that would have been straightforward.
No, everything was very profound and multi-layered, but also a simplicity that is accessible, Yes. He says, I guess I would give the same answer that Woody Guthrie.
Yeah.
When Woody went into hospital, the nurse said, what religion will I write down? Mm-hmm. And Woody says, what? And she says, what religion will I write down? He says, all.
All religions, yeah.
And she said, no, this is serious stuff. I can't do what religion? She says, all or none.
All or none.
And Pete would have been, he said that's the answer he would give, because he would have recognized that all the religions are doorways into the beyondness. And I think I feel the same way. I think the roof of my church would be the sky, and the walls are horizons.
Yeah.
I think God or whatever we prefer, what name we have, is much bigger than Christianity or Islam or any religions that we conjure up.
You use the word God with an element of ease. Are you sure?
Well, it's in our belief system, it's God.
I think there is a God. Because, like, I mean, the great spirituality is the spirituality of music, and you have brought the prayer of music into sharp focus every time you've blown a whistle or lifted a guitar or a banjo every day of your life when you've done that. But, I mean,
true.
where are you at this? You're like me. You're well along the timeline, and we're looking like in 50 years. The time I did the first interview with you, 40 years ago, 35, 40 years ago.
40.
When that sort of time passes again, Tommy, we may not be here.
It's possible, all right.
Yeah, where might we be going?
I think we'll still be around the place. I don't believe that our physical ending is the end. I think there's much more to us than the physical side. I think, you know, some people would say that we are bodies with an element of spirituality. I think we're spirits with a very temporary element of bodiness.
That's an interesting way of looking at it, because if one examines one's body, we are immediately acquainted with its brokenness.
Yes.
But if we, in most occasions of addressing our spirituality and our emotionalism and our outreach to people, our goodness, we don't see the brokenness. So the thing that is fallible is the body, the thing that is infallible is the spirituality.
Exactly. And our bodies physically change. There's no element of your body or my body present today than what was present 10, 20 years ago.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I think the physical, the bodily thing is the moving parts, the parts that can be replaced. I think our essence is really of a spiritual nature. And I'm not too sure if we've got the mental muscles to understand what God is, or what the essence of nature and everythingness is.
It's a nice phrase, that everythingness is. It's a nice one. We're remembering Pete Seeger here today, who has passed away at the age of 94. Tommy, you've been kind enough to come in and make this an homage. Last time we had a similar homage was for the poet Seamus Heaney. You were here and you did that then too.
They weren't unsimilar people.
Isn't that funny?
And they both, you know, they never met each other, but they were very aware of each other.
Yeah.
And Pete would have quoted Seamus and vice versa.
You have a song now that you're going to do for us. You'll play us out on this.
Okay.
And it's one that you did with, you wrote with Pete Seeger.
Yes.
And as we come to the conclusion of our tribute, I just remind you in saying farewell, and we always encourage people not to get too excited. And when you've done your best and can do no more, like our friends across the Niger would tell you, just lay your head in your hand and leave the rest to God. Be happy, go well. Tommy, thank you for coming in.
A pleasure.
And now the song that you wrote with Pete Seeger.
Okay.
Now gone.
We were talking about how sometimes music can help to heal wounds between people. Not only between two people, but between two tribes. Not only between two tribes, but between the conflicts in one's own head. Don't beat the drum to frighten the children. Don't sing the songs about winning and losing. Sit down beside me, the green fields are bleeding. Sing me the music of healing. Sing me a song of a lover returning. The darker the night, the nearer the morning. Bring me the news of a new day that's dawning. Sing me the music of healing. Ah, the heart heart's a wonder, stronger than the guns of thunder. Even when we're torn asunder, love will come again. Sometimes the truth's like a hair in the cornfield. We know that it's there, but we can't put our arms round it. All we can hope is to follow its footprints. Sing me the music of healing. And who'd have thought I could feel so contented to learn I was wrong after all of my rambles? I've learned to be hard, and I've learned how to tremble. Sing me the music of healing. Ah, the heart's a wonder, stronger than the guns of thunder. Even when we're torn asunder, love will come again. Sometimes the cycle of vengeance keeps turning, till each other's sorrows and songs we start learning. Peace is a prize for those who are daring. Sing me the music of healing. A time is your friend, it cures all your sorrows. But how can I wait for another tomorrow, when one step today and 1,000 will follow? Sing me the music of healing. Ah, the heart's a wonder, stronger than the guns of thunder. Even when we're torn asunder, love will come again.